All right, what is up, everyone? 2025 is over, and we are welcoming 2026. Joel, I'm gonna need give me like a horn or something. I hope everyone had a year that they are super happy to look back on. They learned a lot, and yeah, you're just excited for what's coming next. Today's episode is super special. I mean, I say that all the time. Every guest is special, obviously, but today's guest is a really good friend of mine, someone I look up to on like a creative and a personal level. And I just think is an awesome dude. Definitely check out his page after listening. But yeah, first let's just get into it. Here's my conversation with Brian. But yeah, man, how you been? How's happy holidays, first of all.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. Getting ready for a happy new year. Insanely busy. I just finished the year, was recalculating everything, did a ton of flights, just posted an end of year recap. So, yeah, just a lot of reminiscing on all the work and getting ready for 2026, to be honest.
Yeah, man, you're one of the busier people I know, so I'm excited to see the recap. I haven't seen that, but I know you've had a crazy year, so that's awesome, man. But yeah, I'm really excited for 2026 as well. And yeah, honestly, just excited to see what you come up with. Do you have any big plans, or what are you doing next?
Dude, we're trying to figure out if we want to pick up and move ship to Europe just because the racing scene is so much easier over there and better. The US is quite limiting, at least from our experience thus far. I don't know what's your thoughts on that? I know you
I mean,
travel quite a bit.
I live in the western side of Canada, and I think for like motorsport, especially like racing, it is probably one of the worst spots to live in the world for that. North America definitely has motorsport, but I know we both have like experience with like FD and stuff. So yeah, making the move to Europe is definitely not something I haven't considered many a time. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's trying to pull the plug. It's kind of interesting, especially like client wise, especially because I have a few clients that drive in Drift Masters. It's just the travel. FD is one weekend, then you have Drift Masters, so you're away from home for 2 weeks. And at one point, I was living in Hawaii, which is where there's absolutely zero any races. So
Hmm.
I was away from home for like 3 months at a time, and I was just like, well, what if I just move to Europe for the racing season? And then I'm just positioned in a much better spot. Travel's a lot cheaper, and just expenses come down.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I have British citizenship as well, so I've thought about this many a times. Where are you thinking about basing out of?
I was looking at Berlin, to be honest. I had a few friends over there. Everyone says it's a pretty good area and it's pretty easy to get into a place. And then the visas aren't that hard.
I mean, that's the thing with Drift Masters as well, is like so many different countries is involved, but that's the best part about Europe is like everything's accessible. It's like it's not the same. Don't everyone relax. I understand, but it's similar to like the way America is set up, and like the countries are states almost. Like everything's so
Yeah, literally.
similar and close. So yeah,
Literally.
that's
Yeah.
awesome, man. I'm excited to see what happens with that.
Yeah. Just trying to plan it out. Even F1 and like any other bigger motorsport over there, just even more races, whereas like the US, what, gets 3 races.
And there's so many more series over there as well. Yeah, I could talk about this for days. Yeah, man, that's like the one thing that I'm really missing. Like our local track in Victoria, where I live, closed, so like we don't even have like grassroots drifting and stuff like that anymore. But one thing I've always, and I'm not the only one here, but really wished we had is like an actual some sort of race series, whether it be like amateur or anything. But yeah, Europe is definitely the right spot to be.
Yeah, it's been tempting. It's been really, really, really tempting. I'm not sure if we're gonna do it. Also looking at a van life. Right now I'm based out of Nashville, so it's kind of in the middle, but I don't know. I suck at sitting still in one place. I can't do it. It's so hard for me, especially in an apartment. If I had a home, maybe it's a little different, but I just can't. I just suck at sitting still.
Yeah, I definitely know that feeling, but I think that's a good thing. I take that as a skill. Okay, so you mentioned Hawaii. I'm curious because I knew you have like, where are you from? Where are you born? And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Maryland, and then when I turned 18, I moved to Vegas for motorsports for Amanda and all of them for FD. Just basing out of Vegas was easier. And then I didn't really need to stay in Vegas, so I left and I went to Hawaii.
Yeah, that's wicked. I guess it's like the connection I know that you have with like surfing and like the ocean and everything that I just assumed that you were like raised in Hawaii for some reason.
No,
But yeah,
no.
no, that's cool, man. That's very cool. Tell me a bit about like the surfing side and like like all the water stuff.
Dude, I think shooting water sports is like one of the coolest things in the world just because I like shooting things that not everyone can shoot, right? So I think motorsports is fun because there's such a big cutoff there, and there are only a certain amount of teams. I think it's the same way with surfing, where it's like, well, you can't shoot inside of the water. Like anyone can shoot from the land, but shooting as somebody that goes out and swims into the surf break and has to like be in it, there's only a certain amount of people that can do it. So I think it's just another step in the direction of being like, wow, I did this. And I think looking back is like that's something that I've really been proud of, is being able to put myself in situations that not everyone else can put themselves in, whether it's like danger or just like the exclusivity, quote unquote, of it. But if you make a mistake in the water, you could literally die. Pipeline's the most dangerous break in the world. So I think just having that extra like thing or variable when you're shooting just makes your images have more of an emotion behind it, especially if you're showing it to like other surfers, because there are only so many of us out there, and it's a way different angle than from the land.
100%. Yeah, no, it's so cool, so interesting, and yeah, I have so much like awe and like respect for it, I guess. But yeah, man, like it's just it's such a different feeling, like looking at some of that content versus any other content that we all see every day. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's really really admirable in my opinion. It's really cool.
Thank
Very
you.
jealous.
Don't be. It costs a fortune. I hate that part, but other than that, it's like you just have to love it. I think it's the same thing with motorsports, right? You don't shoot motorsports unless you actually love motorsports. Same
100%.
thing
Yeah.
with surfing. I think you don't shoot surfing unless you truly love surfing.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. Yeah. It's kind of I'm just thinking about it because I'm that time of year about to go snowboarding a bunch, but not necessarily the same, but it's kind of like what you were saying about like anyone can shoot like from the land or like averagey snow type content, but that like next level, different perspective, different like compositions and just like different ways of like looking at it. I think like from the side of like the snowboarder or this like surfer is yeah, it's huge. Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It makes a lot more immersive, I feel like, and a lot more emotion involved into it, which again just like elevates it.
So yeah, you mentioned a little bit of like your journey there, like moving to Vegas and stuff, but tell me the whole story. I want to like for anyone listening as well, obviously who doesn't know you, tell me a bit about like how you found a camera and how you got to where you are today. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I picked up a camera when I was 9 years old. I was in Korea for my first ever trip there with my family, and one of the tour guides like on our group had a camera and he let me use it. And as soon as I like had it, I got addicted to it and I loved it, so I started using it for the entire trip. When I got back home, my parents bought me like my first ever, like really, really bad point and shoot from Walmart, probably like $20, $30, whatever. It was amazing. I loved it. And then I got into high school and I got my first ever like DSLR. I got a Canon T1i Rebel off of Facebook Marketplace for like, like 100, $200 with a
Didn't we
lens.
all? Yeah, I know the story well.
Whether it's a T7, a T1, a T5, start with
Yeah.
something. It was just shooting around in the gym a lot because I found myself there after school a ton. Got addicted to it. Started, over editing. My photos definitely didn't look the best. They definitely were unique, but not pretty. And just kind of kept going. And then got a little bit better over the years. Finally made enough money, like walking up to strangers in the gym asking if they wanted photos, to buy my first ever Sony, which was a A7 III. And I bought a 51.8 with it. Started shooting a ton of gym influencers in the DMV area because Instagram was just like starting to like blow up people's careers and people wanted
Yeah.
photographers. Got lucky there and then met a ton of really, really good connects. And then from there, I just upgraded more gear and somehow found my way to motorsports, I think, because I liked the car culture almost in a sense. And I was like, oh, I want to be around these. These are cool. So I shot one grassroots event and then somehow got in contact with Amanda and started FD.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think, or just for anyone listening who doesn't know, Amanda is Amanda Sorensen, and like the Sorensen Motorsport team. But yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I think like what's so apparent from like the day we even met and like looking at your stuff online and stuff is like the passion that you have for creating and just like the videography and like entrepreneurial culture and everything. And yeah, it's just that's kind of exactly the story I imagined you to tell me. So it's cool. It makes sense for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Obviously like that's toned up a bit. It wasn't as glamorous as like, just one text, one call, but like I definitely hit up a ton of drivers in the off season. I flew to Utah for my first ever event on my own dime. just to prove myself. And then I got a call a week before Long Beach, actually. And then I missed school, and then I missed more school, and I missed even more school. And then somehow I was shooting full time. And that was it was just a ton of outreach, a ton of just being really, really persistent and not really taking no for an answer, which kind of got me into the position that I was in, like just chasing it for a year nonstop, even though it didn't really look great because there are only so many drivers, only so many sponsors that you can go after, and just figuring out exactly what I had to do and like what my deliverables had to look like for these clients and what they actually wanted.
100%. Yeah. And it's like making it clear to like people who are trying to like get into events and get into motorsport or get, you know what I mean, for the first time, that it isn't necessarily like as glamorous as we all make it all the time. And it took a lot of work to get there. And there's a lot of no's before the yes, if you know what I mean. And yeah, I just think like it goes back to like the same way that you've approached photography and videography is like, you said it yourself, like you looking back, and I'm the exact same, looking back on like my old content and being like over edited and like that's it definitely has its own look and like that type of thing, like just clarity maxed out or whatever.
Cartoon look for a little bit.
But it's like the same thing, right? With like just okay, I know what I want to achieve and like I know what I want it to look like, and I'm just not gonna stop trying until I get closer and closer to that. And I don't think anyone's actually there ever. At
No,
least I know
never.
I'm not, but I'm still always progressing. But it's the same thing with like the entrepreneurial side. So yeah, that's awesome, man. And it's cool to like hear you say that. And I think especially for like people listening who are gonna like who already know you or gonna look into your page or whatever, but it's like you're blank killing it, you know what I mean? Like and it's not like you woke up one morning and it was just like here's the key to the chest, you know what I mean? Like you worked
Yeah.
for it. So yeah, it's
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially as creators, right? Like we love to post the glamorous side because we've worked really, really hard. Like for me, 6 years of like, small work, compounding, compounding, compounding until it finally opened up more doors, and then those doors compounded into more doors. But I think because we put in so much of the dirt and grind of it is that we want to only show the highlights because we don't want to show people that we're struggling sometimes. Where it's like I feel like sometimes you have to show the human side, right? Because it's
it's something I've been like really focusing on recently is like exactly that, and not like posting only the good times and posting like the struggles that get you there, because I always like put myself in the outside shoes, and like the things that I connect to and like the shows that I like and the videos that I like are always on like an honest level, you know what I mean? Like you connect to the person. It's not them living their like quote unquote dream life that attracts like me to like their story or whatever. So I think that's definitely like going to be very popular in like the next year or next 2 years for sure. But I also think it like speaks to your character as well as like a person, just to like find that important.
Yeah, like I've been working on it a ton because it's so hard. Like when you're established as like, somebody that can do it or that has been doing it, showing that like, 1 month doesn't look great because something went wrong is just a part of it. And that not every single month you're going to make more and more and more money. So like some months you're going to make a ton, some months that number is going to drop a little bit. I think showing that is maybe not exactly like the numbers, but like showing that you're going through hard times makes it relatable because it's unrealistic to always go up.
100%. It's super important, I think. And yeah, again, it's like why we're having this conversation and recording it, because I think it's like, yeah, just like mental health wise, whatever, but like entrepreneurial wise as well. And just like that, putting myself in those shoes, however many years ago, if I can just listen to people who I look up to and hear that they were in like the exact same situation as I was in, you know what I mean? It's only going to help. So, okay, I want to hear more about like the courses and stuff that you offer and like all the things like you've been doing with like the teaching and like, because this is kind of exactly what we're talking about. Like I feel like you're like me and like you don't, what's the word nowadays? Gatekeep. Like you're not like, I really don't like the idea of like not teaching people things. You know what I mean? So yeah, tell me more about like that side of stuff.
Yeah. So like I offer right now like three programs. My main two is something that I'm currently working on like really, really passionately. It's called the Creative Blueprint. The idea with it was to have just a paywall of $27 in between like where you are now and all the information that you could possibly need in any niche to go from zero to like $5,000 a month in a very stable way. So building out actual systems, right? Because a lot of creatives are so good at their job, just maybe they don't know how to build an actual offer, or maybe they don't understand the sales side of it, or maybe they don't even have a niche yet. But if they did, they'd actually be able to target the right audience, target and understand how to pitch and price and get and attract leads in their ideal client. So what we did was so I've been teaching, I think I've taught, sorry, over 100 people now as of right now, to over $5,000 a month.
Yeah,
And
that's really cool.
it's been really fun because I get to take all of that information and compress it into one big thing where we get to give it out for $27. And the idea was to make it as cheap as possible to where we can still filter out people that aren't going to be serious and that aren't going to apply any information because we don't want them. No offense if that's you listening, but to take the information, but where it's enough to where you can just do one small shoot and pay it off. So it's not even ever really going to cost you anything crazy. It's
Like
very
you
low.
said, you've been doing this and like the grind's been, I'm sure it's longer than 6 years. And I've been doing this for like it's getting closer to like 10 years now.
Yeah.
And however many courses, however many like things I've seen over the years,
Yeah. Taking a few.
yeah, there's just a few. But I think that's why like another thing that stands out to me, and I'm sure anyone listening can hear it in the way you're talking and in your voice and everything, is like I know that this course is like coming from like a go-getter attitude and like somebody who actually wants to teach this and like clearly has done it and proven these tactics. And like you said, like from my standpoint, for the first however many years there, like I was just focused on being a creative, focused on my art, focused on all of that, and had pretty much no business sense.
Yeah.
And dipping your toes in that side of
Yeah.
things is very important, but it also comes back to like knowing your value.
Mhm.
So that's only going to create that awareness more. And yeah, I think like anyone listening should definitely look into the course because yeah, you clearly are saying the right stuff in my opinion.
Yeah, we love it. It's seen so much success, and I just want to keep it open to as many people as possible. Obviously, we like do a one-on-one one and all that good stuff, but the idea was literally just to get as much of the crucial business information into as many people's laps as possible, and we do it a lot for free. Like even the people that don't want to pay the $27, I think I give out free resources from the course almost every like 3 days or 4 days, and I know the last one sent out to like over 800 people, and the amount of like testimonials that we get back is so fun. And it's the one of the main reasons why we get to keep doing it is because like the fulfillment is so there, and it's just easy. Because if you don't grow the business part, you could be the best creative in the world, but if nobody's seeing you or you don't know how to position yourself, you're unfortunately just never going to make sales because it's impossible.
100%. And I think like it's kind of like sales business side. It's the same thing with social media, and like you clearly get it looking at your page and connecting online. Is like you can make like the craziest video in the world if you don't position it in a certain way, you don't do certain things, it will never see the light of day, or like it will never achieve what it could possibly achieve if you position yourself properly. So yeah, it's interesting like you said about like fulfillment, because yeah, I don't know, it's very apparent to me, somebody who like enjoys teaching and is like, I just really get the feel that you're passing, it's like passing on the wisdom is I think like the best way to put this. And yeah, it's just like really very important, because I mean we've all had conversations where like another creative who maybe even in your mind or my mind creates better work than, or like a visual than we do, and then sees quote unquote like less rewards from it.
Yeah, I see
But
it
it's
all the
again,
time.
yeah, so it's like again, it's just the same thing with like the business side. You just have to understand a few different elements and yeah, position yourself differently.
Yeah, and like you see how much like I know you've definitely helped out people. I mean, you've helped out me like setting wise, or even like angles on track, or transitions, or slow shutters, or any settings. And when you get to help somebody in real life, like that little spirit of joy that you get to feel for like the next 30 seconds from that really, really small thing is so much dopamine, and just it brings you so much happiness. It's like why if you could do that on a mass level, why wouldn't you? Especially if
Well,
it
yeah,
costs you
100%.
nothing. You telling somebody, how to go get their client or how to shoot a certain way isn't going to take any clients away from you in a realistic world. And if they do, then maybe they deserved it. You giving out all your information doesn't hurt anybody. In fact, I think it would probably help you because you're making so many more connections in the industry, and you're just being an all around better human because there's no
It's
point in
like treat
hiding.
others how you want to be treated. And then I think it's like I always relate it to like growing up playing sports. I
Mhm.
didn't grow up like with like a team of videographers and my older brothers, or like older brother teaching me how to shoot a camera, you know what I mean? It was on sports level. So I always like compare it to that. And it's like in looking back, like on sports, it's like, okay, this is how to shoot the puck, or this is how to throw the ball or something, like, oh, like, why don't you try it this way? There's no like competitive nature from like the people around you.
Yeah.
And then like you go into like a creative realm, and depending on, I think it's actually got improved a lot over the last like few years, I've noticed. But yeah, it's like we're not here to compete against each other. Like
Yeah.
90% of the time, we're shooting for different teams, we're shooting for different
Exactly.
projects.
Even in motorsport, you see it all the time.
Exactly, man. So it's like let's just be nice to each other and enjoy the day more. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I think if anything, it makes it more enjoyable on those really, really long and stressful weekends when, you haven't slept for like 72 hours, your deliverables are out the butt, and, just helping somebody else makes you a little bit happier. And when you're 70 hours with no sleep, that can do a lot for you, if anything. If that's your only reason to help someone, then at least that's a reason to do it.
No, yeah, we're definitely on the same page with that one. Tell me everything, I guess, about like this shooting for like FD and like what you've been doing and like how you approach it, and like anything, I guess, for like people who want to get their first media pass, or want to get in a position of working like with a team. Yeah, if you have like any like insight, imagine kind of like talking to yourself, I guess, like in a position when a few years ago, you know what I mean?
For media passes and getting into FD, I okay, this is the advice that I love to give out, which is if you're only getting into motorsports because you like the behind the scenes videos and you like the travel, this isn't an industry for you because you are going to burn out so, so quick. You must love the cars and you must love the people almost more than you love shooting it, in a sense, if that makes sense.
It definitely
But
does to me. Yeah.
the piece of advice I think I would like give is if you're not in a location with grassroots, it's going to be really, really hard. If you're not in a location where you have some sort of local type of thing where you can start building a portfolio, building a presence, building a network, then it's going to be insanely challenging. But if you do have grassroots around you, I think that during a grassroots season, you should go to every single grassroots event possible. They're usually free if you're a media person, and you can apply for a media credential on their Instagram or on their website. You'll most likely get in no matter what, even if you don't have a portfolio. Just tell them that you're learning, build a portfolio, start understanding how to shoot cars, what it is about cars. But then the more important piece of advice that I love to give is shoot more than the cars. I think shooting the paddock, in my opinion, and shooting the sponsors will be a much better portfolio when you are trying to go to a pro team.
When you're getting to that next level, definitely.
I think the cars are great, but speaking from experience, shooting for Connor Shanahan, he drives for Red Bull and through his own shop and everything. He doesn't really post that much driving stuff. When he was bringing me on, we were more so shooting the team, the pits, the sponsors, and just stuff for Instagram socials. It was nothing like you need to get my car, you need to do this. No, it was more like get the family, get the environment. So I think specializing in that in grassroots, showing that you can do more than one thing than just shoot a car is a very, very key point in a portfolio. Also showing that you are worth the money, not necessarily meaning that you have the best photos in the world, but meaning that like your photos are going to drive sales or interactions or something on a page where you can then leverage that to get into teams. Because at the end of the day, there are thousands of people that are trying to get motorsport credentials every single year, and there are probably less than 100 credentials given out at every single race. On the FD side, on the F1 side and all that stuff, there's a lot more. But I think showing that you can do more than just shoot cars is the biggest piece of advice that I would give. And then just showing that you're consistent and that you're a go-getter and you're a resourceful person.
And yeah, I mean, we've talked about this, but it is 100% more important to shoot the stories behind off-track stuff, everything that goes into it, than the actual track content. And just for relevance, like something that or like reference, I guess, or something that I've recently found out in the last like a year and a half, is when you get to higher levels, depending on broadcast rights and depending on like contracts that are out of your hands, you can't actually post on track stuff, right? So if you're able to, at a grassroots level, show that you can create a story out of a grassroots event, and from my experience at least, like those are the videos that I remember creating are like the ones with the story and the one that like leaves you feeling something or have learned something or
Yes.
experienced like a little bit of like what it's actually like to be in the paddock, like you said. So yeah, I think that's really important for people to like really take home with. And I know what it's like when you first times you get to the track or however many times you
You just want to be on the track every
Yeah, and you
single
want to
time.
shoot the cars and like it's awesome. I get it. But yeah, no, I think exactly like you said, yeah, super important.
And I think when I first started, like I used to make a ton of excuses, not necessarily in motorsports because my motorsports journey was pretty quick, but like even I was like, why not me? Like, how come that guy can shoot it, but I can't? I kept saying that over and over and over again. Like I always caught myself like judging other people's work or like asking myself, how could they do it? Why can't I? What do they do that I don't? And just seeing like, and even maybe you're looking at my page and you're like, oh, how is this guy doing this? Well, I think that when you're so hyper focused on other people, you don't grow nearly as much as you can be just focusing on yourself. Because at the end of the day, there are 1,000 creatives that are shooting everything. And if you're only focusing on what they're doing and instead of focusing on what you're doing, you're just going to slow yourself down. Instead of like just trying to build a supportive circle, you're going to be trying to tear others. And it's like, that's never gotten me anywhere. I don't think it's gotten anyone really anywhere, and it just hurts you more because then now you're degrading yourself and that just makes you second guess every decision that you're making, which then just in turn makes your job harder, and that's not something that you want to do.
It also just makes life harder. 100% agree. Positivity is always like the best choice. I know it's not necessarily the easiest one sometimes,
Definitely
but
not
it's
the easiest.
yeah, definitely from my experience always the best choice. But yeah, no, it's interesting because like yeah, man, I just it's yeah, it's like the same thing with like the teaching thing, and it's just the
Yep.
same thing with everything. I guess here is like just wanting to do it for the right reasons, and I
Yeah.
think it all kind of comes back to like a character and like a I won't give up attitude and like
And it can't be like the woe is me. It can't be like the
a
I.
100% like what you said about like why not me type thing. Sorry, that was the point that I was gonna say. Is like it's so much easier to feel that, but what is probably one of the like common denominators between like every successful person ever, no matter what field, is they have felt that at some point, but they took the strength, took the whatever to get past it and
Mhm.
to approach it hopefully from like a positive side and like,
Yes.
okay, how can I do this better? And yeah, and it's the butterfly effect. It's pretty simple.
And I think that if you are in that mindset, then it also like affects you in the real world. Like when you're going out and shooting, you have a worse attitude, which means you're less approachable and people don't want to be around you. And that then hurts your relationships with other people that are in your industry that might have been able to give you a chance. And if you
100%.
and if you aren't like being that good person, nobody wants to be around you, right? Like I think another huge point in motorsports that nobody talks about is your shooting doesn't have to be top tier, like necessarily. Now I say that with a grain of salt, but
I know what you're saying here.
if you don't have a good character and you don't fit with the team, no
You're
team
not a
is going to
good
bring you in.
person. Nobody wants to hang around somebody in the paddock for 10 plus hours a day who they don't enjoy spending time with.
And then going back to the hotel, traveling a full season with you, like that's a lot. And you have to be a good fit. So as much as your work can be amazing, if you're not a good person, you're just not fun to be around, then it's also going to be hard for you to get brought onto a team
And one
because
thing I
a
will
team is
mention
basically
here
a family.
is from my experience is like there was a few years there where I was learning, still learning, is you know what I mean, getting comfortable, still intimidated by like what's going to happen at the track, like events, and still getting comfortable. And one thing I recognized is that I'm a pretty like outgoing, sociable person, but then I'm also very introverted when I'm very hyper focused and trying to learn and things like that. So, like you said, I think it's really important, at least from my experience. I remember a certain point kind of like noticing that I wasn't being like myself, like social at all, like at the track and or in shoots, not necessarily a track at this point. And but yeah, you see what I'm saying. And it's like put the camera down for a second. Remember that these are people and like people we all just kind of like want to actually get along on like a human level. And once you do that and you get comfortable around the people that you're trying to shoot, especially, it's gonna the way that they come off on camera is going to be night and day difference. So there's so many reasons why that's really important.
1000%. I agree with everything.
But yeah, you said it's funny. You said you started on like the T. I think I started on like the T3i Rebel. Everyone started with like the Canon at one point. Classic. Like I bought it off like a used site, Facebook Marketplace type of thing. But yeah, what do you shoot on nowadays? 'Cause I know I already know what this answer, but just for people listening, and what's your camera setup and everything?
Yeah, we run full Sony. So For mostly motorsport stuff, we're shooting on an FX6 because it's run and gun heaven. And I think it's honestly the best run and gun camera out there. That's kind of a hot take, but hopefully people agree. You have a few FX3s, and then for photo, I'm using an R5 mostly. I think it's honestly one of the best all-around setups. They're stupid light and they're stupid fast and stupid good. The only downside is Sony's cards cost an arm and a leg.
I can vouch for that for sure.
It hurts.
Okay, that's interesting. I haven't used I use a A7S3 as like my rigged out run and gun setup. But tell me why you like the FX6.
Okay, honestly, I love the FX3 and I love the S3. They are some of my favorite cameras. I use them all the time still. But an FX6, just how ergonomic it is in the hands, it just feels great. It's a good box layout and it has the internal ND, which honestly, for me, is a lifesaver. I don't only shoot motorsports, so we're shooting a lot of like indoor outdoor stuff. So it really, really helps have that ND that just is very fluid. You can't really tell. Obviously that dual native is insane, just like the S3, just like the FX3. But I just love the way it feels. The XLR mounts I like are a lot more stable. They feel a lot better. It's still a very, very light camera. It's still very easy to take around. Yeah, the only downside that I see with it is that sometimes it can be a little big and it pull a lot of attention. But and the battery life is terrible. You kind of need a V mount it, but we don't run V mounts. We just run the BPUs, but BPUs cost like almost $400 for 90 minutes or like 200 minutes of recording life, which is not good at all. And you can fry those motherboards like crazy, so you got to be
Yeah.
careful. But other than that, like that's why I love the FX6. It's just
It makes sense though, definitely about like the ergonomic side because that's something I've always noticed looking at the anyone using or just like looking at the FX6 is like it makes sense the way it's
yeah.
built. Yeah, it's like I'm rigging out my S3 in a way to mimic like the native build of the FX6. Yeah.
And it sounds this might be a little bit of like a weird thing to say, but it's actually quite cheap for what it is, in my opinion. Whereas like if you're building out an FX3, you're already at the price of a very, very low hours used FX6, but you don't have an internal ND, you don't have the ergonomics of like the beautiful inbuilt top handle, the side handle, all the audio interface, the dual menu that is insane. I love the dual menu. It saves so much time. I don't know, maybe they did an FX3 firmware update, but I just think that the FX6 is honestly right now best bang for the buck on the market, cinema wise.
Yeah, no, you're making me think because I'm as we all are always thinking about new cameras and
Upgrading.
yeah, like upgrading and swapping out the B cam and things like that. But what I've learned over the years is don't swap out the B cam, swap out the A cam, and then get a new A cam. You know? Huh? Everything you're saying makes a lot of sense. I always forget about the internal ND, which
That's like the
is
biggest selling point. You save so much money on filters. So much.
it's like what you're saying though is like comparable price wise. Like your FX3, S3, whatever. Like it's not just the camera. Like you're gonna have to build it. So like the handle wise, ND wise, you're probably closer already to FX6 price anyway.
Yeah, you get handles, cage, V mounts, poles. I mean, poles don't cost much, or like whatever they're called, and
Yeah,
like but like all the filters and everything, like that's going to cost a
rails. Yeah,
lot. Matte boxes. Are you going crazy? Monitor. That all comes with the FX6. Now, I'm not saying that the FX6 monitor is amazing, but it does its job pretty perfect. I don't really use my 5.2, but I have the option, but I just don't use it. I think the normal FX6 monitor is just a killer. It's good.
yeah. No, that's very cool. That's very interesting. So, what do you think about? Because I think my opinion's kind of changed on this. I was never too like one way or the other, but what do you think about just for anyone listening who's thinking about getting into and choosing like their first brand and which like way they want to go, Canon, whatever?
Yeah.
What do you think like the main differences are nowadays, like between choosing a brand? Like, is there anything that's going to limit you going one way or the other?
Okay, so I actually, that's a funny question. I literally just posted this poll on my story yesterday. What camera brand are you shooting with right now? And I chose Sony, Canon, Fujifilm, and Nikon.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
now, I will say that Canon and Sony obviously took a huge win. I think Sony got over 300 votes and Canon got just over 200 votes, which is really, really good. The only other ones were Nikon and Fuji, and those are very, very small, like niche brands. Well, not Nikon, but Fuji's more niche. I would
Fuji
say,
though is killing it lately, but yeah,
oh,
I know what you're saying
insane.
for sure.
But I would say if you are only going to be a photographer and you're mostly shooting people, I love Canon. I think Canon is a beast. I use Canon a lot on the track. I'm not supposed to say that, but I do use Canon. and it's amazing. The autofocus feels really, really good. Everything about it feels amazing. The colors are just great out of camera, especially in motorsports where you don't have a ton of time to edit. It's really important. Now, what I will say is Sony is amazing for a lot of the hybrid shooting, right? So photo and video. That's where I see most people buying Sony. Also note that Sony G Master glass is insanely expensive, but Sony does have the most aftermarket like lens help in the world, I'm pretty sure. If I'm quoting that wrong, I'm so sorry. But like you have Sigma, Tamron, G
There's so many
Master,
options.
normal
Yeah,
Sony
100%.
adapters. Like it's so good. So I think like if you don't have a budget, like Sony, great, go with it. But like if you're only shooting photos, you know you're only like shooting people, you want those creamy skin tones, you don't want green people, then I think that Canon is amazing and it's all around. But I think nowadays any way you go, you can make it work if you try. Like even if you go Nikon.
Yeah, no, I'm the exact same. It's funny you just said about the skin tone thing because I was talking to Jeremy a few episodes back, and
Yeah.
it stuck with me. It's like the main thing that I never could pinpoint, I guess, until that like conversation was like the green hue and like the
Yeah.
yellowiness of the hue of like the skin tones in Canon versus Sony.
Mhm.
And I've like played with some color adjustments in post now, and I've been getting more of like a Canon image, and it's like I'm aiming for a Canon image now. It's
Yeah.
just funny. But yeah, it's I'm the exact same, and I literally with everything you're saying, like I'm a Sony guy, have it for the same reasons, using it for the same reasons. But I just find it interesting and always want to ask everyone, but also just want to keep mentioning it for anyone listening because you never know if it's the first time they're listening to an episode or anything. But any camera nowadays you can probably get the job done with. And the more experience I have, and I'm sure you're the same here, like especially in post production, it's more about how you use the camera than the camera itself. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%. I just think don't overdo it in post. I think a lot of people really try and like when you're first starting, a terrible habit that I totally see everyone doing is cranking the clarity, cranking the dehaze, cranking the texture. And that's a look, but I would encourage you to go and look at what the best people in your industry are doing. And if they aren't doing that, then I'm going to tell you that it's probably not the best reason to do it and that there's probably a reason why they're not doing it. Not saying that it doesn't look good, but it looks different. And if you want to succeed in an industry, you should probably be looking at people that are succeeding and trying to follow in their footsteps and tweaking it a little bit, not cranking your dehaze, not cranking your clarity, not cranking your texture, because it really makes an image look not real and it pulls a lot of the emotion away, in my opinion.
100% agree. So many things come to mind. First thing I'll say is if you've made it this far, I'll give you a reward on the conversation of no gatekeeping. The biggest trick that I've found in like post production over the years is the adjustments within shadows, within midtones, within the highlights of that saturation level versus just adjusting your saturation on the whole image. If you haven't learned that, already played with that idea, go to town because that'll change a lot of things. Second is, yeah, I mean, it's like you said, comparing yourself or trying to emulate people like at the top of the industry that you want to be like. It's an interesting conversation depending on who you have that with, because like a lot of people will say, well, yeah, well, you don't want to like copy anyone, but
Yeah.
100% agree. But then you kind of like compare it to like other industries and like, yeah, I mean, like name one musician who of like all my favorite musicians who isn't like inspired by
Another top of the line musician.
you know what I mean? Like Kurt Cobain inspired by like the Beatles. It's not like, and it keeps going. It's not like it's always art is taking influences from so many different places and then putting your own spin on it, and never see comparing yourself to like that top of the line where you want to be as a bad thing. It's something that's definitely worked for me. So
And I think there's a difference between taking inspiration and copying.
100%.
I
And
think
that's
you should always take inspiration from people. I never think you should hand in hand copy unless you're learning, but don't use that in like a portfolio or something like that. Like
yeah, 100%.
use it as a base to understand why they're doing it and then make it your own because now you're just learning how to edit. Now implement what you just learned from copying into something else that's now inspiring you because now you understand how to do it. Now you just have to actually do it yourself and
I
not
think it's just
having
like the definition of inspiration, to be honest. Yeah, just remembering to take the inspiration from it, and yeah, it's not a bad thing. We all do it, like subconsciously, but trying to focus on that idea it's where it works very well. Yeah.
Yeah. And Dan, I know you just won an award for one of your films. Like, I'm sure that inspired so many people. Like, when something like that happens, honestly, like if you are the one being copied, take it as like a compliment and not like, oh, I'm gonna go hate that person. No, no, like take it as a compliment. They thought your
It
work was so good that they wanted to make something just like it.
Well, I appreciate that obviously, but it's like we were talking about before, man. It's like positivity is like in my experience, it's always the best way to go about things. And yeah, I 100% agree. I'd never, at this point in life at least, would never take anything like that as like a frustrating thing. It's like it's such a positive to be in a position like that. And yeah, it's like we've all done it earlier in our like careers, whatever it is, like our journeys as creatives. So, but yeah, okay. So, what are your social media handles? Because everyone's gonna, I mean, this far in the episode, I guarantee people have already looked you up. But let's hear them.
The only Instagram handle I use right now is Instagram, and it's BH_shoots, SHOOTZ.
Wicked, wicked. That's the page. And do you have like haven't really done too much YouTube lately, but do you have any other pages or anything you want to mention?
No, I'm thinking about starting a YouTube, like a normal like vlogging series where it's just kind of showing like the true side of like the photography journey.
Yeah, you should. I could see you doing like a vlog very, very successfully. That's interesting. You should for
Yeah, I
sure.
want to do like a 3 to 5 minute daily thing where it's like, this is what I did, this is how we did it. You know, it's kind of boring to me, but I think a lot of people want to see the day-to-day life where it's like, okay, maybe Brian's not shooting today, but he's ripping outreach for 9 hours and that's not fun, but he's going to do it anyway.
A
Or,
hundred percent.
you know, like he's building the portfolio, building pitch decks on client calls. Like, how does a client call go? What does it look like? What do shoot days look like? Because nobody really shows that. And I don't see any other really photographers or videographers dropping daily vlogs. 'Cause, I mean, it's a chore to do, but it's just something that I've been thinking about for going into 2026.
No, I'd love to see that because yeah, it's super important. Like we've already talked about, but yeah, to just show the reality of it and like all the work that goes into it because that's what makes all the other fun stuff happen. Yeah.